So I've shown this in the past. This is just a regular Ridgeline setup, rapid deployment Ridgeline. I learned it from Pathfinder School, Dave Canterbury and those guys. And it's just a basic setup of about 30 foot of 550 cord and a few feet of number 36 bank line. But I've talked to a lot of people about it too. There are a few knots in here, and if you're not ready to engage in learning certain knots first, but you already have one of these because you were given one, or you bought one from somewhere, or even if you haven't, I'm thinking about making these myself and making them available. So this is going to be a no knot Ridgeline setup with the rapid deployment Ridgeline, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So again, it's going to hang just like this, about 32 or 33 foot. You got your bank line set up there, and all I'm really doing is adding a carabiner. Okay, anybody can do this. So I'm going to show you how to set it up here on the front porch of the cabin. So to get it ready, just undo the half hitch in the end, and there's several different things that you can do to set up the first one. If you don't know how to do a Marlin spike hitch on the end, you can use the end loop, which is a bowline, and do what they call a running bowline. The problem is with this one, the bowline itself is too small for me to run this all the way through unless I unravel it all and then stick it all through there, and it would just be a pain. So what I'm going to do is I'll just find a stick of some sort. This will work for right now. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Take a little bit of this out, pull these down, and all I'm going to do, get this where you can see, is it basically just going to reach through so it looks like that, and then I'm going to put the stick or the toggle in there, and I'll be able to pull it tight to whatever I'm connecting it to. So I'm going to do that around the porch right now. Off the stick. All right, so same thing, half hitch, put the stick through. That'll be the most complicated part of the whole thing. Okay. All right, now I'm going to take 2 of these with me. Again, this is 30 foot, and I only have about 10 feet, maybe 10 feet in between both of these poles. So one of these prusik knots I'm going to leave on the other side of here. Come over here and grab my carabiner. Now the prusik knots, if you're not familiar with them, they're made to be able to move up and down, but if you put tension on them, like this, here, then they don't go anywhere. And then you can let them go, release tension, and they continue to slide. So if you're wanting to hook this thing up and have a fairly taut Ridgeline without a whole lot of work, you can connect this carabiner to this one, move this prusik down, connect it there, and just pull as much tautness as you want. And then adjust this prusik that's attached to the other one, utilizing the carabiner, and then pull it tight. Now you have a taut Ridgeline, no knots needed, but that's only if you have already been given one. The good thing about this is that when you get to the point within your knots that you want to try to make your own, again, it's only about 30 foot of 550 cord, and you know, depending on how big you want to make your prusik knots, maybe about 8 to 10 inches. I utilize 2 or 3 on here. I could add 1 or 2 more here, so that as you're stretched out in 20 or 30 feet, you can use 2 of these for tarp setups, emergency shelter setups. You may have an extra one if you're using it for a fly up over a tarp, and you can connect a lantern on it here, or set up your lean-to, however you're going to do it. But this setup here is just as quickly taken down as the other one is, the regular rapid Ridgeline. Okay, because all you do is release. You can keep your carabiner on there. I like to pull all of my prusiks back up to the original point, and then I'll just take my stick out here. That pulls right off, and all of these prusiks, including my carabiner, can be brought back to the original bow line. Now, to put it back in the original hank, I'm just putting it in the center of my hand, pinching off there, and then creating a figure 8. Run some slack, so I'm just creating a figure 8 here until I get to about where the tag end of my 550 cord is on the ground underneath me. And I always stop at the pinky because it just makes it easier to unroll. Almost there. About right there. So I'll go one back over the pinky, and then we're making a hank because it is a rapid deployment Ridgeline, just like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and tightly roll the last few feet around, and you can make it as long as you want, as short as you want, but in that last one, oh, didn't get that first wrap tight enough, so there, go back around, want it tight, so pack tight, and then you'll just do something of a half hitch here on the end, where you leave that last little bit. You can loosen it up a little bit, stick the end through to where it looks like that, and then you pull it tight. And then you have your whole Ridgeline set up with, this one has 3 prusik knots on it, and your carabiner. And that way, it just makes it a little bit more easier to set up, especially when it's cold. If you don't want to mess around with setting up your knots, if you already have this done, if you don't quite know how to do the modified trucker's hitch to tighten up and taut up the entire Ridgeline itself, then the carabiner is a great option for that, utilizing the prusik knots that you probably already have on one of these. So let me know if that helps. It's just a little bit different way of setting this up, and of course you can always take the carabiner off and practice more knots and do different configurations utilizing the same amount of cordage. So let me know in the comments below what you think. I know some people are going to have their own ways of doing it, and that's totally fine. Survival isn't a one-way, one way to do things kind of hobby, and there's a lot of different ways to tie off things. In my opinion, there are better ways to do things, and especially utilizing hitches and knots and fasteners being carabiners and things like that. Just makes your life easier while you're out in the field. So leave your comments below. Thank you for watching. I'm Garrett, SYCOYL Outdoors.